All right, so very good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Very good morning to you all. Lovely to see all the energy in the house at 10:30 in the morning. We hope you had a wonderful day yesterday as well. So on that note, once again, a warm welcome to you all to day 2 of BRICS Friendship Cities Conclave 2026. As you all know, yesterday we had a wonderful inaugural ceremony, after which we had 3 lovely sessions come up on the floor for you. And today on day 2, we yet again have 3 sessions coming up your way on interesting topics like healthier urban environments, inclusive housing, and technology-enabled governance. So with that being said, I think without holding up further, let's get our 4th session of this conclave begin. First session for today on a very fascinating topic, which is breathing better cities, tackling urban air pollution for healthier communities. And on that note, as you can see, our stage is ready. We have some wonderful panelists coming up. So I will firstly invite our moderator to come forward and take this session forward. So joining us to drive this conversation forward, we have someone who is an environmental scientist with a PhD from IIT Bombay and with over 25 years of experience specializing in air quality management, atmospheric aerosols, particulate matter, and environmental monitoring. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome the principal scientist and head CSIR NEERI Mumbai, Dr. Nitin Goyal on the stage. Big claps and applause for our moderator as he comes up. A warm welcome to Nitin on the stage. Let's welcome our next panelist, our first panelist coming up on the stage. So joining us, we have someone who co-founded the Air Pollution Action Group, a not-for-profit organization supporting government efforts to reduce air pollution. And this individual also brings in 28 years of experience in advertising and marketing. Joining us on the stage as our first panelist, we have the Chief Executive Officer, Air Pollution Action Group India, Mr. Mohit Beotra on the stage. Big claps in the house for Mohit as he comes up as our first panelist. A warm welcome to both the gentlemen. Next up on the stage, we have someone very special joining us with over 13 years of experience in air quality management and environmental compliances. This individual brings expertise in pollution control, policy development, governance, risk, and project management. Joining us on the stage, please put your hands together and welcome Mr. Phathutshedzo Raphalalani on the stage. Big clap for the gentleman coming up. A warm welcome to all the 3 gentlemen on the stage. And of course, our final panelist for this wonderful conversation joining us on the stage. Joining us on the stage, we have someone very special. This individual leads air quality management initiatives in Beijing, focusing on vehicle emissions and industrial discharge and data-driven environmental governance. Joining us on the stage, we have the Deputy Director, Atmospheric Environment Division, Beijing Municipal Ecology and Environment Bureau, China. Please put your hands together and welcome Mr. Zhuang Ziwei on the stage. Louder claps and applause for our lovely panel. So let the conversations begin, and over to our moderator to take it forward.
A very warm good morning to everybody present here. It's a great initiative and it's a great place to be today with this BRICS Cities Conclave. And congratulations to Mumbai First for organizing such a wonderful session where we can exchange ideas, build on our future. As we all know, air pollution has not been, a subject which is not known to common people now. When I was pursuing my PhD in IIT Bombay, people used to tell me that you will not get a job. Who is looking at air quality? India is dealing with sanitation and water issues more. But look at us today. The way we have been struggling to manage air qualities in major metros and then the National Clean Air Program, and we see that almost every city in the country today is battling air pollution. Air pollution comes with the burden of health. Air pollution comes with the burden of unhappy life, living spaces in the cities. So today's session we will basically look at the experiences, the the motivation, the actions which have been taken in our country as well as in China, in South Africa, and how they have actually, transited from a high pollution to a lower level of pollution in the respective cities, and what actions have they taken and how they have transformed it. So, with this opening note, I welcome everyone to this session, and I will ask my first speaker, Mr. Mohit, for his presentation. Thank you.
How do you use the? You can also look there. I know. How do you click this? Any idea? This one here. Press the green thing. Okay, got it. Thank you. Thanks. Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Goyal. My name is Mohit Beotra. I run the Air Pollution Action Group. It's a not-for-profit we founded in 2019. We work with the government in various states to get them to act on air pollution. That's what we do. And as you can see from the name, we only focused on air pollution. I was asked to share our learning from Delhi. The big point is in Delhi, it's really good news for Delhi citizens, and I think it's a start of what will happen in India, is that over the last year and a half, we have worked very closely at the highest levels of the central government to help build a plan. And there's now a very, very specific plan that is being overseen at the central government level, not even the Delhi government level. It's being overseen at the central government level. But the point I wanted to make was that this plan was made possible because Delhi, fortunately, there is a reasonable amount of data on the sources of air pollution, as Dr. Goyal was referring to. And there are various insights that we could use from there to be able to create a simple plan saying, let's start by doing these 8 things. It was literally, it's a plan like that. What is this data? Delhi, like I said, is fortunate amongst Indian cities that it has a fair amount of data. The first thing is, if you simplify air pollution, if you look at the 5 big sources: dust, transport, industry, biomass burning, and household air pollution. There's enough evidence in Delhi to be able to say that we can be reasonably certain that about 85% of Delhi's PM 2.5 comes from vehicle, dust, and industry. And therefore, for any program that has to reduce PM 2.5, it's important to have interventions across all of these. The important point, I don't know how people in North India believe that stubble burning is the cause of pollution in Delhi. Stubble burning is actually less than 5% of Delhi's air pollution, but it peaks when it happens in October, November. So yes, stubble burning has to be solved, but you got to go much beyond that. You got to have a program across all of these. That's a very important piece of data. The other very important piece of data is this, that all evidence shows that only about a third, let's say 35%, of Delhi's pollution starts within the city of Delhi itself. Another 35%, the second third, actually starts with what's called a broader airshed, which is very, very contiguous with the Delhi NCR. You've all heard the term the National Capital Region, which is 21 districts. Just to give you a sense of perspective, Delhi is about 1,500 square kilometers. The NCR is 55,000 square kilometers. But 35% of Delhi's pollution emanates out of sources in the broader, bigger, larger NCR. A final third comes from even beyond. So for instance, stubble burning in Punjab is beyond the NCR. The short point being that to have an effective plan, you need to have interventions across multiple sources. And more importantly, they have to be implemented not just in Delhi, but across the entire NCR at the very least. And the good news is that, like I said, the central government has now bought into a very, very simple plan, the target of which is a 3-year plan, which is intending to reduce PM 2.5 by about 30%. That's an immediate target. Reduce PM 2.5 by 30%. I'm not going to go into the details of the plan, but very at a high level, there are 8 very, very specific programs, from upgrading pre-BS6 trucks and buses to setting up low emission zone in a broader NCR area. There is industrial pollution being addressed through the deployment of air pollution control devices and continuous emission monitoring systems. There is a massive road remediation program, not just in Delhi, but in 9 cities across the NCR. So Ghaziabad, Noida, Greater Noida, etc., etc. And like I said, this is a very, very specific program. Each of them have very specific targets. They have very specific budgets, and they have a very clear timeline. So they're just not, intent. They're very specific. And this entire program actually involves 4 ministries, because Ministry of Road Transport has to come up with schemes on the first 2. Ministry of Environment is looking at industrial pollution. Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs is responsible for the cities. And Ministry of Agriculture is looking at the stubble piece. And more importantly, once the ministries come up with the schemes against each of these programs that we're helping them with, the 5 state governments have to implement, because they have to be implemented in Delhi, in Haryana. Some districts of UP fall under the NCR, some districts of Rajasthan fall under the NCR, and of course, Punjab on stubble burning. Now, the point is this program is real and it's happening. The question I was asked was, what is my view on how can Mumbai learn from this? Obviously, getting this sort of data, to the best of my knowledge, and I don't know the Mumbai situation very well, but to the best of my knowledge, there isn't enough similar data in Mumbai. So, and I believe that there are efforts on to start getting that data. Some of the studies Dr. Goyal was telling me are actually there from 2020 or 19 or 20. But is there anything that Mumbai can do in the interim? So the answer is yes. Ideally, you want the data to be able to get a comprehensive plan like that, because that's the only chance of actually making an impact, right? But this is an example of a program that is a no-regret move. I don't know if anyone from the municipal corporation is here or not, but this is a program, we call it the Dispersed Sources Program. Dispersed Sources is just a term described to, it focuses on 2 specific areas: pollution from road dust and garbage. Typically, in most North Indian cities, road dust, construction dust, and garbage burning account for anywhere between 25 to 40% of the PM 2.5. So it's very substantial. This is a program we've been running in multiple cities. It's a 3-step, very clear process. There is actually a surveyor who goes on the road, trained by us, takes photographs of issues through an app. That issue is created into a job ticket, which is assigned to a specific official in the municipal body who has to resolve the issue and put up a photograph saying, done. A study by IIT Delhi in 2024 suggested that at a hyperlocal level, and this is, I think, a bit of an overkill, but at a hyperlocal level, even a program just like this could potentially impact at a very local level PM 2.5 by 25%. I'll just show you some examples. If you look at the pictures on top, these are all from the program. A picture on top, you can see it's a before picture where a surveyor has taken a picture of a kacha rasta. You can see those all on top. And below, you can see the pictures where that source of road dust has actually been sorted because it's been paved. And these are from multiple parts of Delhi. This is for a parking lot. Garbage is cleaned up rather than getting burnt, it's cleaned up, and so on and so forth. You can see another great picture here of, the impact on, in fact, the Yamuna and burning that was happening there. So you get a sense of it. Just to give you, because it's app-driven, because there's a dashboard, we actually have data like this. So this is just a pull-out screenshot. You can see all these red dots are all issues of road problems in Delhi. This is issues of garbage. These are CND waste. In our cities, as I'm sure all of you have seen, there's so much construction happening. That malba is dumped on the side, the road becomes a dust source. So now all this data is available for the corporations to work on, and because it's all data-driven, Delhi's a bit different in the sense that there are 12 urban local bodies involved. Most cities don't have that many. They only have 2 or 3. But you can see that, this is data from 29 July, 15 days ago. And we interact with all these guys in terms of getting stuff done. This program actually got endorsed by MoHUA, that's the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, a year ago. And today the program is actually running in about 20 cities. 21 actually, to be fair. Obviously, Delhi is much larger, but you can see it's running in Haryana. UP has picked it up in multiple cities. Bihar has picked it up. Recently, Odisha has picked it up and AP has picked it up. It's certainly something that I think would be very, very relevant for Bombay. So I just want to close here that our view is very straightforward. Every city, the big ones, whether it's a Delhi or a Bombay or wherever, eventually need a plan like the Delhi plan, which is a set of discrete interventions, but very few. They're not 50 things. We're doing only 8 things to start with adequate budgetary support and adequate focus from the entire government machinery. But that is possible when there is robust data available to be able to decide which ones to do. In the interim, cities like Mumbai, and like I said, I don't know if the data is available. I'm assuming it's not because I haven't seen it. But in the interim, we think that programs like the Dispersed Sources programs are things that cities like Mumbai should certainly be doing, and as they move towards a more robust plan like the Delhi NCR plan. Dr. Goyal, that's all I had, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Mohitji. It was a great learning experience to see, that data is something, which is uh, building the future pathway for action. I will now invite Mr. Zhuang from Beijing Municipal Ecology and Environmental Bureau, right, for his presentation.
Okay, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here. On behalf of Beijing Municipal Ecology and Environment Bureau, I'd like to introduce measures and achievements of air pollution control in Beijing. First of all, let me show the brief introduction of Beijing. Beijing is the capital of China with over 3,000 years history. Beijing is also a fast-growing international megacity. The city has witnessed a fast-growing international. The city has witnessed fast social and economic development in the past over 40 years. With 6,400 square kilometers of plain area, Beijing carries 22 million people and 8 million vehicles. The rapid socio-economic growth has brought huge pressure on the environment, and sustainable development has been taken as development strategy. And over the past decade, Beijing has been devoted to environmental protection and green development. Since 2013, in order to reduce pollution, multiple methods have been adopted, including source control, emission reduction, management improvement. With the rapid economic and social growth, Beijing has achieved significant improvement in environmental quality, which was reputed by UNEP as no other city or region on the planet has achieved such a feat. So let's take a brief look at the achievements over the past decade. In 1998, Beijing formally declared war to air pollution. During the following years, we persevered in implementing pollution prevention measures. Till now, we have conducted 16 staged air pollution control measures from 1998 to 2012, followed by a 5-year Beijing Clean Air Action Plan. Then we started the Beijing Blue Sky Action Plan for 3 years and the battle to prevent and control pollution year by year. Throughout the whole treatment process, we stick to set goals by stages, but divide up tasks to the specific pollution field and individual year. So after years of hard work, you can see that since 1998, the GDP, the population, and the vehicles, the energy consumption have been grown rapidly. At the same time, annual average concentrations of air pollutants have achieved rapid decline. In 2025, Beijing's annual average concentrations of main air pollutants, such as PM2.5, PM10, NO2, SO2, decreased by 70%, 56%, 61%, and 85% compared to 2013. Especially the annual average concentration of PM2.5 has reached 27 micrograms per cubic meter, which was 90 micrograms in 2013. At the same time, the number of days reaching the standard level increased significantly, from 176 days in 2013 to 311 days in 2025, and the number of days reaching excellent level increased by 100 days. Heavy polluted days decreased year by year from 58 days in 2030 to only 1 day in 2025. Especially from 2013 to 2025, the number of fine days of PM 2.5 increased significantly, and the number of heavy polluted days decreased. In 2025, heavy polluted days by PM 2.5 in non-heating season were almost gone, while the number in heating season was also improved obviously. In the meanwhile, the notable air quality improvements in Beijing were highly valued by the residents and the national community. In 2019, a review of 20 years air pollution control in Beijing, published by UNEP, held a dramatic improvement in Beijing's air quality. The review believes that Beijing's efforts in improving air quality have provided worthy insights for cities of developing countries facing the similar challenges. So next, let me introduce what we have done this year. Since 2013, Beijing has completed 4 rounds of PM 2.5 source apportionment. And we have found out motor vehicle, coal burning, industrial production, dust, domestic pollution, or household pollution are main sources of PM 2.5. Therefore, different measures were adopted to aim at these sources. First is the coal. In terms of coal burning pollution control, a total of 28,000 megawatts of coal-fired boilers were renovated to gas or electric boilers, and basically achieved no coal-fired boilers in Beijing. With no coal-fired power plants anymore, we achieved clean power generation. Beijing completed coal to gas and coal to electricity transformation in over 1.7 million households, and basically realized coal-free in the plain areas. And the consumption of coal has been reduced to less than 1 million tons per year from the top of 34 million tons. And the SO2 concentration, which mainly comes from coal, has been kept a single-digit level during the past 9 years. And the vehicles, especially those based on fuel energy, are primary sources of PM 2.5. For a long time, Beijing has implemented various measures to reduce emissions from vehicles. By 2025, proportion of green travel in central urban area has reached 76%. Meanwhile, Beijing took the lead in China to implement national 6 emission standards and fuel standards. We take special measure to control high-emission vehicles and non-road mobile machineries. A total of 2.3 million old vehicles were obsoleted, and the proportion of National 5 and above was raised up to 80%, and the amount of new energy vehicles come to 1.3 million. About the factory, Beijing has been updating the catalog for judgment and elimination of polluting industry. Based on this catalog and enforcement for many years, more than 3,000 general manufacturing and polluting enterprises were eliminated, and 12,000 polluting business and enterprises were disposed of by classification. For those remaining enterprises, environmental protection technical transformation projects were implemented, and the proportion of green enterprises reached more than 40%, and more than 18,000 catering enterprises have been renovated. About the dust, to reduce the dust in construction site, road, and bare ground, we formulate standards for green construction and road cleaning. Use the vehicle-mounted monitoring for suspended dust load on road. You can see the map. Is the when the vehicle mounted drive, it can show the data of the suspended dust load at the real time, and we can get which road is dirty. And we can disclose the result and ranking to accept public supervision. Recent years, air dome for foundation pit is promoted to reduce the construction dust and noise. That is the air dome. We have formed a sky, space, ground, mobile, AI integrated air quality monitoring network and built a cross-departmental coordination mechanism enabling swift decision-making and response. The Oversight Department sets objectives and coordinates joint actions. Monitoring Department identifies problems through data analysis. And the Enforcement Department carries out on-site inspections and closes the loop. So, to guarantee the effectiveness of these measures, Beijing has implemented comprehensive treatments, including strengthened the legislation, strict standards, and increased investment. The regulation for the air pollution prevention and control in Beijing was implemented. The current effective local standards for the atmosphere have reached over 42. To encourage pollution control investment, a series of economic incentive policies were introduced, including subsidies for coal to gas, coal to electricity conversions, and the elimination of old and polluting vehicles and other supporting funding subsidies. Meanwhile, strict law enforcement has ensured the smooth progress of comprehensive treatment. Establishment of environmental protection police strengthened the cooperation between the administrative and the criminal procedures. And surrounded by mountains on three sides, Beijing is easily affected by pollutants transmitted from the south. The total amount of pollution emissions in the surrounding areas of Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei region is large, which requires coordinated air pollution control mechanism in Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei region and the surrounding areas. Now we have unified the emergency response, unified the legislation, and organized the regional special actions and the law enforcement. As a result, the PM 2.5 concentration of Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei in 2025 has decreased more than 60% compared with 2013. So based on the air quality forecast result, considering the severity and the duration of air pollution, the heavy air pollution alerts are into three levels, from light to heavy in turn yellow, orange, and red. During the emergency period, we will announce various measures to the public, including the health advice, the proposed emission reduction measures, and the mandatory emission reduction measures. Part 3 about the future. Beijing has achieved remarkable results in air pollution control. However, there is still a gap compared with other cities of developed countries. We will deeply implement the Green Beijing Development Strategy promote continuous improvement of air quality, and accelerate the construction of a beautiful Beijing. It's warmly hoped that more communications and cooperations will be conducted between us in the future, so as to find out more effective paths and methods for air pollution treatment under the idea of synergize the reduction of pollution and the carbon reduction. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zhuang. Excellent numbers, I must say. They are just mind-boggling figures of how the GDP has gone up 2,000% and the pollution has reduced. We will come back for more questions after our last speaker, Mr. Phathutshedzo from South Africa. Right. He is the Senior Manager of Air Quality Management in Durban. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you very much for the delegate presented to us, our political principal in the House yesterday. Allow me to also acknowledge the current president of the South African Consolidated Office in the House for the support. Like they've said, my name is Phathutshedzo Kenneth Raphalalani from South Africa. I'm here to share with you the air quality management experience in South Africa. Take a moment and allow me to take you to South Africa. Okay. This is how our city of Durban looks like. Durban is one of a vibrant economic hub of South Africa, which also have some of the powers in terms of cargo port and also tourism sector. That also include a major investment in terms of urban renewal in this regard. When we look at the population of eThekwini municipality, which is currently known as City of Durban, we are currently having a population of 4.2 million people or citizens currently residing within Durban, City of Durban. It's a city that is heavily characterized by industrial sector and also tourism, known for tourism sector, and also biodiversity and nature conservation in this regard. We receive number of people nationwide for environmental consideration for tourism purposes. Some of the challenges that we currently experience in the city of Durban have to do with geographical taps in terms of pollution. Why? It's because Durban is located in a valley area, whereby some of the air pollution are normally trapped. Especially during winter season, we experience high number of air pollution observation in this regard. The map you see is the map that outlines the city of Durban in this regard. Why this matters? Why does air quality matters? The answer has to do with health first in this regard. So as the city of eThekwini, we are also managed and regulated and also guided by the WHO standard in terms of air quality management. We see to it that we need to comply with all limitation regulation guided by the WHO standard. We've observed and witnessed 7 million deaths globally that came as a result of air pollution nationwide. Locally, when we zoom into the city of Durban, we have noticed that most of the air pollution-related incidents are regarded as asthma-related, TB, and most are respiratory problems that we've seen in terms of numbers from our clinical facilities on a daily basis. Why did the city of eThekwini decide to embark on the case study for the South Durban Basin area? The reason is that the South Durban Basin area in eThekwini is one of the location or environment populated with high number of industrialization and also settlement or residential areas. So for me, as the city air quality officer, I have the responsibility to continue and manage air pollution in such kind of environment, whether it is highly congested of industrial sector, while also taking cognitive of the human rights in terms of the health and right of air, a free air quality in this regard. The South Durban Basin is bordering communities of Wentworth, Merebank, and Lamontville. How this location have been defined, I believe when I show the picture, it might shock some of us here, because it's a street away from the residential area. Immediately when you walk out of your main gate, you then walk immediately into the industrial sector in this regard. So it's an area that is highly congested. Historically, we've seen that in this kind of area, which is the South Durban Basin, we have a problem of SO2, benzene, PM10, and also other issues. Of course, if you are residing next to an industrial sector, you won't smell a cake. There's heavy industrial activity taking place in this regard. Historically, within the very same environment, communities have come together and develop what they call the NGO, which is normally known as the South Durban Basin Area, which is actively working towards seeing to it that the government take cognizance of human protection against air pollution. They see to it that us as government, we implement all our Air Quality Act and all relevant regulations that makes relevant to air pollution management. The organization was then formed in 1990s in this regard. This is how the South Durban Basin looks like. If you can zoom in, you will see that within the residential areas, inside that we have a very huge industrial hub, which is trading globally, and which is also part of our JSE stock exchange. Because so much of our GDP or economy in South Africa also come from this hub. But we also have to take cognizance that around this industrial sector, we have residential that are residing within. Why was it planned like this? Reference is made to the apartheid government during those years, whereby the interest was on generation of the economy and less about human safety and so on. We then see historically we try to develop all relevant legislation to manage air qualities, waste, and others in this regard. But for me, as the City of eThekwini or Durban Air Quality Officer, I have the responsibility to see to it that everyone who resides within this industrial sector are protected in terms of air quality. So we see heavy sanctions against industries. We see heavy regulations that are developed by the city and the national government. We also see heavy compliance and enforcement in this regard. What we did in the South Durban Basin area in terms of ambient air quality monitoring, we then decide to locate or strategically place 4 ambient air quality monitoring stations in the South Durban Basin areas. Include 5 in this regard because of the new one we've just co-located now. So that we are able to see the air pollution overview or dashboard, accurate dashboard within this area which is highly polluted. The national government was at a process or stage of declaring this area a priority area or a hotspot area. But then the city decided to put in place heavy bylaws and regulation to see to it that we regulate and manage air pollution in this area. How are we engaging with communities in this regard? We need to take cognizance that as government, if then we ignore the presence of communities in such areas that are highly polluted, we will lose trust from the communities. So we need to take along communities as we do our engagement, compliance enforcement, development of regulations and so on. So we then also, as the city, decide to capacitate some NGOs and communities in the area to see to it how can they also have the capacity to do air quality monitoring without our presence, because we are not focusing on this area alone. In terms of the work that we've put in place, working together with communities, we have seen a huge reduction in terms of SO2 and PM. The reduction, as I speak, is currently sitting at 60%. You will see why I'm saying so. What we did in the South Durban Basin, again, in terms of regulation and also partnership, the key is involvement of communities. Without communities, you are going to lose trust. Without communities in your development of regulations, bylaws, and others, you are going to lose trust. So stakeholder engagement is a key, because alone as government, we won't be able to fulfill the need to do or to achieve our air quality management in the area. Practical example, we did multi-party agreement with city industries, communities, and also our province and national government. As the city air quality official, I also lead and coordinate what I call the City Air Quality Forum. What is this forum made up of? The forum is made up of communities, government, NGOs, and industrial sectors in this regard. This is a platform that assists us with knowledge change between the city officials, communities and NGOs, and companies, industrial sectors. Industrial sectors will then be presenting their emission reductions plans that they have put in place. To who? To us as authorities, communities, and NGOs. Why? Because we need to work together in this regard. We also offered NGOs and communities opportunities also to present their uncertainties in the very same platform, to raise questions that they've been holding for so long. Why? Because us as government and the industrial sector in this forum will then provide answers to the very same communities in this regard. Also engaging with institutions of higher education, whereby we develop and pertain in this regard in terms of research. We are currently working together with the University of KwaZulu-Natal in terms of the study that we did, which is called the epidemiology study, that link to the policy exchange. The recommendation that comes from the very same study also assist us as government to zoom in and look into our policy legislations. Where do we have to make changes based on the recommendation of such study? We did so. Citywide pillar number 1 in this regard, smart monitoring. This is the overview of how City of Durban or eThekwini looks like. This is our map. If you zoom into the map, you will see 16 ambient air quality monitoring stations that are strategically located within the city. And then if you then go online, you are going to see 12 stations that are currently reporting online on our portal, national portal, which is called the South African Air Quality Information System. We use the very same portal to engage with institutions of higher education that the data available can be used for research purposes. We also encourage learners to access the same data. The data is available and is for free in this regard. Data can be used for any research, masters, honors, and others, including PhD. We are also involved in what we call local sensors as a way of monitoring our ambient, because there are those areas that we cannot put a permanent ambient air quality monitoring station. But a local sensors is more a movable asset that you can place inside a school environment and so on, and can give us same results that the ambient air quality monitoring station can give us. One of the lessons that I want to take home in this regard, in terms of the BRICS, this kind of engagement, is that any form of new development that has to do with air quality related, we, as the forefront, government, private sectors, we need to also include communities and NGOs. Why? Because that will give us trust. We are the ones who need to appraise them of any new form of development that comes into these air quality sectors in terms of monitoring and so on. Pillar number 2, clean transportation. The city of eThekwini also is embarking on trying to see to it that through our BR route, what is known as the Go Durban BR, we are trying to also introduce electric field of buses. Why? Because we've also observed that some of the air pollution contribution in this regard come from transport sectors. So the city is working very hard and trying to zoom in that all city buses need to migrate from diesel to electronic. Once we achieve that, we're going to see a huge reduction in terms of a vehicle contribution, because also private sectors and then communities themselves, they'll also zoom into this new introduction by the city. Pillar number 3, energy and household. We have observed that the government in South Africa is trying its utmost best in trying to manage air quality in some of areas that we regard them as informal settlements. We have seen new houses developed for the low-cost class, which are known as government houses, the one that I've just displayed. We have seen government or observed government installing solar panels so that communities must move away of using coal as a source of energy in terms of during winter season if they want some hot waters and so on. So the solar panels are introduced also in this regard. Some educational material and also ceiling. Why? To keep the house warm, so that we don't see our informal settlement in this regard trying to rely mostly on wood and coal as source of energies, and also methanol stoves that have been sponsored by government in this regard. So we've seen a huge shift of emission reduction from some of our informal settlement. Green infrastructure in this regard. What city is doing, including communities, partnership with private sectors. We've observed, working with institutions of higher education, tree plantation within the city. Also within the South Durban Basin area, that is normally known as the highest polluted area in South Africa, we have seen what we call a green buffer zone that of trees that have been planted in between the industrial sector and also communities. The 4 million trees plantation have also been observed in contribution towards providing coolant within the city and so on. And we acknowledge and we will continue to practice such kind of innovations because we've observed the results. So there's a green belt that have been planted within the South Durban Basin of almost 400,000 trees, and within the city we've done 2 million trees in this case. It's a once-off program that we believe that continuously it will yield results. I'm very close to finish. Now what I'm presenting to you is the data. So why am I presenting this data? So I'm saying that as government, working with private sector and communities will give you positive results in the long run. But working in silos alone won't give you positive results. So if you look at the presented graphs from 2021 to last year, 2025, you will see a huge reduction of air pollution in terms of SO2 in this regard. So that comes through the compliance and enforcement engagement that we as the city were putting on the ground. For example, you'll be aware of one giant industry in South Africa that as the city, we fined them 8 million in rands due to non-compliance with our air quality legislations. The amount that we took to court was 54 million. But because of the engagement with courts, it came down to 8 million. That shows you how commitment the city is towards enforcing air quality, environmental compliance and so on. And we are one of the cities that have zero tolerance in terms of non-compliance with our air quality related legislations. In terms of PM10, which is dust, you'll also observe, we had a slightly issues in 2025, whereby we also observe high numbers. But when we see it's because of the fire explosion we observe from one of the industries. That's why we have a peak in 2025. When we zoom in into PM 2.5, you'll also see a huge reduction, but the fire incident in 2025 also give us that slightly peak. But I acknowledge the compliance enforcement activities we're putting on the ground as the city. Also, if you look at the benzene, at the bottom, you'll see that the work we've done have given us positive results. One of the proposals that I want to put on the table is to the coordinators of these BRICS friendship cities to say, let's find a way of developing what we call the urban air quality network of friendship cities. So that it's not, this kind of engagement is not a once-off engagement. It's a continuous engagement. So that we try and zoom in into specific problem up until we come up with solutions. What I have learned in Mumbai, if I try and implement that in Durban, will it give me positive results or not? So this kind of new engagement relationship, it needs to be a continuous engagement relationship so that we learn from each other. Our vision as the city of Durban or eThekwini is that come 2030, we've also signed into the agreement that we are 2030, 2040, 2050, we are going into the net zero emission. So to date, we are sitting at 30% reduction of PM10, PM 2.5 citywide. That's a huge achievement in a city that is highly in a city that is currently having a huge problem of air pollution. Zero communities within 1 kilometer of industrial without an ambient air quality monitoring. We are all going to introduce what? Local sensors. Every resident can check air quality on their phone. So we have done what we call capacity building towards our communities to say, use your smartphone to check your air quality index so that you learn more about the air pollution within your environment. We are also saying that the clean air is a right. It's not an option. It's not a game of lottery. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fathu, for elaborate presentation on the efforts which you are undertaking. So we have heard our three speakers today, and I will now ask every speaker to define their role in their current cities, and then to also tell us which is the source of pollution, which is the largest source in their respective cities, and we'll take the discussion forward from there. Thank you. Yeah, sure. So we can start from Mohitji and then Zhuang.
You want to?
Okay, so I wish to ask, what is the current role? What is your role in the city where you live right now? Okay. As are you from government? Are you from the public actions group? And then what is it that you know about the largest source of air pollution in that city? And how confident are you that this is the right answer?
Okay, so we are a not-for-profit, but we support the government to try and get them to take action on air pollution. So that's our role. We are an enabler of the government to act on air pollution. The data in Delhi is very clear, like I showed you, that 85% is dust, transport, and vehicles. It's difficult to tell between the three of them. There's a little bit here and there. We are quite certain that this is reasonably correct. That said, the Commission for Air Quality Management has actually started a new emissions inventory, which the results of which are expected by July of next year. So hopefully that will corroborate whether this understanding is correct or not.
Okay. I work in the ecology and the environment bureau. So my job is to make the action plan to control the air pollution year by year. And about the main source of PM 2.5 in Beijing, my presentation, I mentioned we have 4 rounds of PM 2.5 source of apportionment, and the vehicles always the number one in the 4 rounds. Vehicles, yes, and from 30% in 2013 to 50% in 2024, and it is the most important issues we should deal with, the vehicles. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Thank you very much. From City of Durban in this regard, what we've identified as the most source of emissions in this regard is industrial congestion that we are currently having or experiencing, and also fuel burning from informal sectors is one of our problematic sources we are also we've observed, and also vehicle emissions. But through our air quality management plan that we have developed and present today to Council for approval, I believe that we'll be able to deal and address such kind of problems. Thank you.
Okay, so we can see that in India we are looking at equal number of contributions from dust, from industries, and from vehicles, whereas Beijing says very clearly that it is the transport sector which is contributing the most, and in the city of Durban they are still contemplating between those 3 sources again, which we have in India. This brings me to a question for Mr. Zhuang. Beijing brought annual average concentrations, of PM 2.5 from about 90 micrograms per cubic meter in 2013 to about 58 micrograms per cubic meter in 2017. So just in 4 years, a 35% reduction. Looking back at that period, which measures did you think were the most effective, and how would you see them today, right? Was that the right approach, or are the measures which you are taking today are more effective?
Okay, I think the most important measure in 2013 to 2017 is the coal reduction. Beijing's winter is very cold, and we used to get hit by coal burning at that time when I was young. And so the coal was made up maybe 75% of Beijing's total energy consumption. And in the first round of PM 2.5 source apportionment in 2013, the coal burning took the second place in local pollutants. So since then, we have launched coal reduction campaigns. For example, we established the no-burn zones for high pollution fuels, including the coal. And the regulations ban the construction of new coal burning facilities, and mandating the remaining ones to renovate to clean energy before the deadlines. So we implemented the nation's strictest standards for coal products and boiler emissions. And I think we introduced several financial incentive policies offering the subsidies for coal-fired boilers renovated, and the household clean heating equipment purchase and operations. So thanks to these measures, Beijing's coal consumption reduced from the 34 million tons to less than 1 million tons. Yes, and 1 million tons per year. and the clean energy sources, including the electricity and the natural gas, now account for more than 99% of the city's energy consumption. So I think that at that time that may be the fastest way to reduce the emission. Although the vehicles is always the major sources, but we can live without coal, but we cannot live without the vehicles. So the vehicles pollution control is a long way to go. And at that time, I think the coal reduction is important measures.
Okay, great. So what we understand is that they identified coal was on number 2 as far as the source apportionment study said, right?
Yes.
Transportation was again on top in 2013.
Yes, and in 2024 there is almost no coal.
Almost no coal. So, so they took coal as a challenge, and between those 4 years of 2013 to 17, they reduced the coal consumption from 34 million tons to about 1 million tons now. So almost zero if you look at, and that's what made the magic of 35% reduction. We all understand, and this question I will ask Mr. Mohit, that air sheds, like watershed, we have air shed. So air sheds do not respect municipal boundaries. There was a song also in a Hindi film, I remember, Panchi Nadiya Pavan ke Jhoke, Koi Sarhad na inhe roke. So, same way, India's National Clean Air Program supports action plan for 131 cities, yet many significant sources sit outside city limits. And you also mentioned, Mr. Mohit, in your presentation, that about 2/3 and 1/3, coming from outside and inside Delhi. What governance arrangement has genuinely delivered coordinated actions across this, airshed approach in the metropolitan cities?
Well, so far nothing has delivered, but now there is a plan in Delhi that takes it into account. And therefore, the plan is being overseen at the level of the central government rather than at the level of the state government. Municipal corporations and so on will have a critical role to play as part of the plan. But like I said, the ministries have to devise the schemes and the state governments have to implement. All of this is being overseen actually by a committee that's been set up under the cabinet secretary. So therefore, in our experience, so far, it's not happened in this country at all. This is the first time that this will happen. And hopefully 3 years from now, if this session happens again, we'll be able to showcase Delhi also as a place where significant reductions in PM 2.5 have happened like Beijing. So far, nowhere in the country has an airshed approach been made possible because the government is disaggregated. There's no question about it. Municipal corporations can only do that much. In fact, our work in a city like Delhi, forget the big plan of an NCR program. Even the program that I showed you is what we run in Delhi. There are 12 urban local bodies that are, trying to work together. So it's very difficult unless there is a pullout. Last point on this is that the Commission for Air Quality Management, Delhi NCR, was set up with this intention. Unfortunately, they've not been able to deliver the kind of impact that is required. The plan that is now on the table, of which they are a critical part, will hopefully make it happen. A central governance at a level much above the city thing, overseeing, providing funding, providing manpower, providing focus is what's required.
Thank you. But we definitely do understand that it is not only the sources inside the city, but sources even outside the cities, right? And setting up of a commission probably would help and would deliver is still something which we need to, explore.
The Commission for Air Quality Management, NCR, was set up in 2021. It was a replacement for the erstwhile EPCA, which was supporting the Supreme Court on thing. The Commission for Air Quality Management was set up by an act of parliament, and their mandate is air pollution in the NCR. But despite the commission being in place, it's only now because the central government has taken interest in this and saying this is something that is affecting even Delhi's image, India's image on the international stage. You know, Delhi is often touted as the world's most polluted capital city and so on. We all know that. So therefore, the fact that they are taking interest, therefore the ministries think. So one of the schemes that, that I briefly talked about here, the outlay is a very substantial 8,500 crores, and therefore that has been approved at the cabinet level. And that scheme will run across all of NCR. So it's got nothing to do with Haryana government, Delhi government, etc. It's been approved at the cabinet level, and the states will implement. That approach has been made possible only because the senior-most authority in the country has taken cognizance and is saying they're doing it. The same thing will have to happen in multiple cities, whether it's Bombay, Calcutta, Lucknow, Patna, etc. The same approach will have to happen.
Okay. I'll come back to Mr. Fatu. Right. In the South Durban Basin, air quality management, industrial regulation, and community health surveillance has been linked over many years. Now, what has that combination of real-time monitoring, multi-stakeholder governance, and school-based health tracking achieved? And what has been the hardest to sustain in that sense? So, how have you basically been able to manage the real-time monitoring versus the multi-stakeholder governance? When you talked about it's not only the government and the industries, it's also the communities and the people who are involved. And how have the school-based health tracking achieved tracking program has?
Okay, thank you very much. As the city in this regard, the data that you are currently working on needs to be evidence proven. So in terms of the ambient air quality monitoring stations that we currently do have in the South Durban Basin area, like I said, we have 4 from the city that are currently giving us real-time data, which is live and can be accessed by any individual, NGOs, communities, institution of higher education for research purposes. And also in terms of in complement with our station, we also have companies or industrial sector within the very same South Durban Basin area that also have their own privately owned real-time ambient air quality monitoring station, which is also complementing that the data that is being provided by the city is true because of co-locating the data from our city and also comparing with the private sector stations. In terms of the school and communities' health in this regard, we have observed through a number of years that as the city, what we have done in terms of enforcement, compliance enforcement, that has to do with air quality management, in terms of the licenses that we currently issue to those facilities to operate. We have seen a huge reduction of numbers at our clinical facilities in terms that can be compared from 2015 to date. In terms of the stats of respiratory TB related illness, we have observed a proven reduction in terms of numbers. So that's why we are saying to date, working with communities, NGOs in this regard give us positive results. Thank you.
Okay, great. Can we have the lights on for the audience? Let's interact with the audience. It's becoming more of a monologue. Let me stand up and we'll start the session. But let me ask a question first. So I've been given a data here that in Rio de Janeiro, and I will ask all of you to guess a number, right? What share of harmful particles in the city's air is estimated to come from transport? So we are saying that in Rio de Janeiro, what is the contribution of transport sector to the overall pollution? Is it 20? Is it 30? Is it 51? Is it 70%? Right? So you may shout a number, please. 20, okay. We have an answer? 80. Okay, so 80 is not an option around. We have 20, 35, 51 and 70. 70, okay. 51, 51, okay. Right? Okay, so 51 is the Shubh number, right, in our country, and that is the correct answer also. But what yeah, let's clap for everybody here. 51% is what we know. Uh, but if I ask you, do you know this number for your city? So how many from Mumbai here? Can we have majority from Mumbai? Outside Mumbai, let's say Delhi. Delhi, we have 2, 3 people from Delhi. What city do I name now? Right? You can shout your city if you can, please. Aurangabad, okay. Aurangabad, we have done source apportionment study, yes. Surat, Hyderabad. So, can we have numbers? So, Delhi, 32% from transport sector. Transport. No, we can say any, which is the single largest source of pollution in your city, if I were to ask you. Do you know the number? So, Hyderabad, 32% from transport sector. Aurangabad, okay. And what about Mumbai cars? How do you know that? From the source apportionment study. How many people understand source apportionment here? Right? Source apportionment. So if we were to manage air quality in a city, right, what is it that we should be managing? Right? So if I were to make Parara Saab the mayor of Mumbai for today, right, and ask him to, immediately do something for the city for air pollution, Parara Saab, what is the information you would look for in air pollution? I'll help you. So you would want to look for what is the biggest contributor in that case. What is the biggest source? So सबसे बड़े को पहले पकड़ेंगे. We'll try to catch the biggest source first and then reduce it so that we can see the biggest achievement. Now, in air quality, this kind of source identification and quantification, that activity is known as source apportionment. So, what we are typically trying to do is in the cocktail of air which we are breathing, we are trying to give a quantitative value to a particular source. So the air which we are breathing is a mix of emissions from transport sector, emissions from industrial sectors, emissions from dust sources, emissions from burning sources, and various other sources which we can imagine, including solid waste burning, industrial waste burning, garbage burning, anything in it all. So all of this gets mixed up in the air and we breathe it. So at the level of breathing, if I do a study, right, that becomes a source apportionment study. Right. Now I will, invite you to please ask your questions to the panel, and let's take this forward. What is Mumbai's number? Right. So Mumbai, we have actually, at NEERI, we have done the source apportionment study, right? And what we have also found out is that similar numbers in the range of 30%, 25 to 30%, right, attributed to transport and, dust and industries. So construction could not be identified because the last source apportionment study which happened in Mumbai was pre-COVID. And post-COVID, what has happened is that redevelopment activities have actually taken a very fast pace. And currently, my information says that around 6,000 active construction sites are there in MMR region. So MMR is around 6,500 square kilometers, and Mumbai metropolitan, after that Mumbai area, BMC area, is only about 10%, 650 square kilometers, right? And a large density of this redevelopment is happening in the suburban areas of Mumbai. And that actually hints me for a question first to the panel, right? So I'll take this liberty and ask Mr. Zhuang. I saw in your presentation that you did some video monitoring of the construction sites. Are you aware of that? Some video monitoring of construction sites. And then I also saw there is one picture in which a foundation was being led and there was a balloon foundation concept. So are these concepts, internationally recognized, or did you develop them for your own cities to deal with pollution from the construction activity?
Yes, we use it at first in our city, and right now maybe 20 or 30 the air dome for the foundation pit, because always some complaint from the neighbors around the construction pit. So if we have this air dome, it can maybe less than the dust over 90% and the noise over 70% to reduce the complaint from the neighbors.
So isn't that's a great, I think, initiative which I saw in the presentation, that they were actually videographing all the construction sites and video monitoring was happening. So that's something, I hope and believe that we can do something. Okay, audience, your chance, please. Sir,
It was, my question is to our China friend. Great achievement that we have read about it and you presented it today. How much is the extent of these enforcement punishments or charges in China, and how big role it has played? For example, let's say construction site or car. Can you give us some numbers? In the sense, was it very stringent monetary punishment played a big role in it, or what was it? If you give me some numbers, that would help. Obviously, there are always going to be some fines for doing something wrong, but was it very stringent? Was it very large? Because the kind of achievements you have done can't be done without really something working well. You see, everywhere we try all the things, but ultimately results don't come necessarily. That's why.
How much of the punishment of the pollution? Maybe it depends on the situation of you break the law. Maybe 20 or 30,000 RMB yuan for enterprises. Of if they we have the environmental protection police, so we can have a coordinary for the punishment and the criminal punishment. So some serious violations maybe constitute the environmental pollution crimes, such as the illegal pollutant discharged by industry enterprises and the sale of the vehicle fuel by private operations. Such as this case may be involving of the environmental pollution crimes. They can conduct the police will be handle the cases and ensure that the punishment to take it to the jail maybe.
they have pollution police and they have criminal proceedings also. Right? That's what I could gather. Yes, madam.
You just mentioned that 6,000 construction sites are, happening in 6,500 square kilometer of area. So what is that proportion? Do you feel that, we all feel that it's too much?
Yeah, it is too much. The only thing is there is no, upper limit to the too much right now.
No, but then,
Right.
NARI is for that, to control and to
So-
Advise the government.
So that's where a lot of urban local bodies have actually, in fact, the urban local bodies in Mumbai and around Mumbai, they are enforcing clean construction guidelines, and you must have actually read about it, that they are putting in stop work notices, and they are actually asking builders to provide green nets and a certain 25 to 35 feet of boundary, and then inside the construction sites also, they are actually asking them to fine mist, is being used whenever there is construction happening, whenever they are handling dust. I myself have actually had the opportunity to go and visit certain sites, right? So yeah, it is happening, थोड़ा थोड़ा जैसे हिंदुस्तान में
We
होता है.
would request your body to monitor it and inspect it, because we citizens can't do all this.
Yes, yes. So
It
what
requires certain instruments or some parameters, and we certainly request you.
the way it has also been done is that they have installed a lot of real time instruments to measure pollution inside the construction sites. uh, the process is already ongoing, and they are still learning as to how they can actually catch the people who are actually doing the pollution. But yes, we have come to a point where we need to understand that clean construction practices, the way I saw in Beijing, maybe need to be enforced in a far holistic fashion. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So hello. My question is to Mohit ji. I'm Srinivas Deshmukh. I'm co-founder of Urban Research Foundation. We work with cities with having population between 0.5 million to just above 1 million, classically tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Coming from the Delhi example, what would you suggest to these cities so that they do not, get into the quagmire of air pollution and they can, fight it back effectively?
Every Indian city is going to get into this quagmire. There is no option. So, but what you can do, so we run a lot of programs in Raebareli, Kanpur, etc., which broadly would fit your thing. There are programs that can be run on the ground where the municipal corporation has direct control. One of the programs I showed you is this dispersed sources program. There is a program we run on construction and demolition waste. Ma'am just talked about it, which is about setting up secondary collection centers. Every city should be doing that. There is a third program, not really relevant to a lot of cities, but to a large number it's relevant, where we actually help cities decongest traffic hotspots, congestion hotspots, to reduce pollution from traffic congestion. These kind of programs can be run by individual departments, the municipal corporation with PWD, with the Nagar Nigam, the transport, police, traffic police with police support can run some programs with some intervention. So there are programs that can be run at that level in these cities, which they must certainly be doing. And these are programs that don't require them to spend lots of money because none of them have money. So it's within their existing budgets, but these programs can help. And you're welcome to talk to me. We are happy to share the SOPs with you, which you can take to your cities.
Okay, we have time for just one last question, right? And I would ask Madam to just a small question with a very crisp answer.
So, my question is actually to all three of the speakers.
Okay.
And more linked to, so Mr. Zhuang, I think Beijing's achievement are really phenomenal. But I wanted to understand the place of your department within Beijing municipality per se. Okay. How much powers do you have? What kind of budget do you have in relation to other departments? Do you have, and what kind of officers do you have under you? Do the environment police work under you? Similarly, you are also working with eThekwini municipality. So, and you are working with the community. So where do you draw your mandate from? At one level, the city is also wanting the GDP. At another level, you are also wanting the trust of the communities. So how do you look at it? And are you powerful enough to kind of execute that mandate?
Beautiful question, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. In my whole city, in our system, the environment protection system, maybe we have 2,000 or 3,000 people, and over half of us are the law enforcement members. And in my division, we have maybe 10 people in our division, and we make the action plan every year. And about the budget, you mean the how much how much money we cost every year? Maybe 4 or 5 billion RMB yuan, maybe it equals the $1 billion every year. But this year, the money is less than the years before, last decades. And in 2013 or 2017, maybe $2 billion a year for the air pollution control.
Is it million or billion?
Billion.
$2 billion.
Yes, almost.
A year. Wow. And how many? What's the percentage of scientists or researchers versus administrators in your organization?
Sorry.
Okay.
We have a lot of scientists working with you.
You work with
Scientists.
universities. You work with the.
We have the Institute of Environmental Protection, about hundreds members.
Okay.
And my colleague from the Monetary Center, they have hundreds members.
Okay.
Maybe work with us.
Sure, we'll ask you more questions. We can. Quick
Thank you.
comment, please.
Thank you very much. In terms of mandate, our mandate is driven from the South African Constitution, Section 24, which says that everyone has the right to safe and living environment. So it comes from that for equality, whereby we then develop the Equality Act so that we are able to achieve the mandate as directed by the Constitution. In terms of capacity that has to do with the environmental management inspector, my department have a number of 87 inspectors that are currently present to do compliance and enforcement, and that has to do with air quality, waste, biodiversity, and the others that are environmental related. And in terms of the powers, I am the Environmental Management Inspector Grade 1. So which means that the powers that the police officer have in terms of any criminality in the country, me, myself, as the Environmental Inspector Grade 1, I have the same powers. I can arrest. That's why I managed to also take one of the biggest industry to court. And we managed to come up with a sum of 8 million in rands. Thank you very much.
Okay, that brings us to the end of this session. Thank you very much, all my fellow speakers. Let's have a big round of applause.
Yes, requesting our panelists to kindly stay back on the stage for a quick minute. We'll have a group picture and felicitations before we let you go off the stage. One more applause for all of our panelists and our moderator for driving this conversation forward very well. Hence, for felicitations, may I please invite on the stage Professor Amitabh Bhide, Professor at Tata Institute of Social Sciences and a Governing Board member, Mumbai First. Claps for Our Lady coming up on the stage to felicitate our panelists and moderator. So just for context, we are giving a tie with all the BRICS flag of the nations that are a part of BRICS. So that is a memento for our panelists as well as moderator. We'll have a group picture before we let our panelists go off the stage. Thank you very much once again for that lovely conversation. Housing for all, inclusive housing and community-led urban regeneration. We will start our next... Yes, sir, we are not a problem. Yeah. 2019.